Alright, welcome back to part 4 here. So essentially what we've done is taken the building that we created and I just created a couple different materials for the facade and duplicated it out onto a grid. And I also went ahead and just added some low poly trees along the street here to just kind of fill in our base map. I didn't do anything too crazy, there's a lot of gaps and a lot more work that needs to be done, but just giving you an idea, at least on this main street here, that it looks pretty decent. But now we're going to add some animations to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into my top view, and I am going to go into my pen tool. I could also just grab an arc or one of these other objects, but in this case I want to have a straight line. So I'm just going to click somewhere over here and finish somewhere right there. Okay, I've got my spline now. Let's go back into perspective view and let's find it here. I'm just going to pull it up. Alright, so I'm going to say, yeah, let's have this be over here in the center of the right lane. I'm going to turn my map off for right now. I'm going to put my buildings and my trees under my map, and I'm just going to get rid of the trees, buildings. That's it for right now. Alright, got my spline. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to immediately duplicate it, and this is going to be the other lane of traffic. And now I'm going to create a truck or car very, very quickly. And there's our car. And we're in good position right now. It's aligned to the spline. I'm going to go ahead and go out to 240 frames. And I'm going to make this car drive. So it's in the right hand lane. It's pointed to where I want. Under cylinder, I'm going to go to Cinema 4D tags, align to spline, and I'm going to drag that spline into the target object, and there I am starting at one end of the spline. And if I drag position, you'll notice that my car is now driving. I'm going to turn, no, I'm not going to turn tangential on. Oh shoot, what did I do? There. Let's go back. And now you'll notice when I drag position, this car is going to move. So I'm just going to set a keyframe here, and I'm going to go to 240 and have it drive all the way across my scene and set another keyframe. So it's going to move nice and slow here, kind of speed up in the middle and then slow down. I'm just going to go ahead and select my keyframes and make this a linear interpolation so that we have constant movement. And there it goes, just constant movement. It still slows down, but the movement is much more steady. So we can add, plenty more cars to this. I'm going to take this car and I'm going to just duplicate it and get rid of that tag and slide it over to the other lane, and let's put it way at the other end, even though it'll do so automatically. And let's give it a different color. I'm going to make this a black car now, and I'm going to go Cinema 4D, align to spline, the other spline path and start it at 100. Same process here. Let's keyframe, go to the end, go to 0, keyframe, and then let's make these a linear interpolation. Oops. Cool. And let's take a look. We actually have some active traffic now. And now we could just keep duplicating cars and adding them to different paths of the spline. If I wanted to take this car, duplicate it, I'm just going to go into my keyframe, and instead of starting at the 0 path there, I'll start at somewhere out here. And you might, yeah, there we go. Perfect. So now we've got some actual cars that we have to deal with. And if we turn on all of our cool objects and zoom in on our street, we can sit here and start from the beginning and watch as some action creeps through our street. Ooh, man. All right. So now we got some animation data that we're going to export, but we are so far away from being able to export. We're going to have to clean this up quite a bit in order to export. So the biggest thing is going to be to bake some of these individual items. So starting with the medians and crosswalks. Okay, single texture, bake. Okay, so now I've baked this, and I can get rid of my medians and crosswalks. And my medians and crosswalks are now baked. I'm going to put that under my map. Let's go to our stoplights. We're okay. All right, cool. I got my stoplights in here now. Let's preview that. And I'm totally fine with the resolution those came out. So let's get rid of our stoplights. Put that under our map. And now we got our buildings. So the problem here is I just want to bake individual buildings. So me creating the grid the way I did was a mistake. Let's just go in here to building 1. Oops. This is our first building that we made. Let's select the children and let's connect objects and delete. I might have deleted my mode text. No, it's still there. Alright, and I'm going to do that for the first 3 buildings. Just going to select the children, connect objects and delete, and select children, connect objects and delete. I'm going to get rid of all these other buildings right now, sadly, and we're left with just our initial street corner. And I'm going to now bake these. I don't need 2 of those buildings. Object, bake object. Let's try it. And let's preview it. Render it, I guess. Yeah, it looks fine. I don't have the reflectance in there, but it's honestly fine. It wouldn't even transfer over from Cinema 4D to Unity anyway. So I'm happy with that, and then let's just do the same thing here for this building and our third building. Object, bake object, bake. Cool. So we've got, now we can just get rid of this and we can drag in buildings underneath our map. And then the last one is going to be our trees. You see the same problem here where what I should have done is baked initially. Alright, so we got to make this full thing editable first. Then select the children. Then connect the objects and delete. Okay, so we kind of have to go through here one by one and kind of procedurally select each of these, connect them, and delete. And now we're finally at the point where we can select all the children and connect and delete and not lose our texture. So now we can get rid of all the street trees. And now we can just take a basic tree, which we actually don't. We already have that in our street tree, so we'll just use our street trees for now. So the only thing now we have to do is go ahead and object, bake the tree, and get rid of the old one. Cool. Now we can go back into our top view here, and we're ready to mess again with our grid. And let's go ahead and pull that across the street. Let's grab all of our street trees, pull those around, bam. And down there and down here. Just gonna put them on Main Street for right now. Cool. And then the other thing we're gonna do now is with the buildings. Okay. But if you notice before, my project was slowing down a little bit. Now it's going much faster now that I've baked all of these. And I still have my animation going here. The last thing I now have to bake are my cars. So let's just go here, object. Whoops, not bake texture, bake object, bake. Delete old object, bake, car 2 and object, bake. Cool. Now what it did was, it looks like it did away with my tag. Which is weird because my spline is still very much, it's still saying sorry that took so long. But when you do try to do these tutorials live, sometimes run into issues like that. So now we've got our traffic going. We have our animation data. We're pretty much good to go. I don't need this physical sky anymore because I'm going to have to do that again when I get into Unity. So next step is going to be our big export and get this ready for Unity. So the first thing I'm going to do with my map is I'm going to select all children here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to delete, connect objects, and delete. Before you do that, make sure you go to File, and you're going to want to save this into your user data. So File, well, let's do these individually. File, Save, Object, Preset. Do that for the building. Do that for the stoplight. Do that for the crosswalk. Just make sure, guys, that you're not losing anything. I'd hate for you to lose all your work. The last thing I got to bake here is I got to bake my map. So I need to take all these things out of it real quick and just bake just the base map. Let's just call this base map. And let's go ahead and bake object, and bake. Cool. I can get rid of the old. And I can take all this stuff now and just drag it underneath the base map along with the cars. And hell, why not the splines as well? And I'm just going to go ahead and save this as an object preset as well. I'm going to call it base game map. Cool. Alright, let's do our export now. File, export. And we're going to go to FBX. We're going to call this game map. Save. Make sure we have splines on. We don't need lights and cameras. And then we need all this selected as well as normals. And we're exporting. That was pretty quick. Alright, now we're in a new scene in Unity, and we are just going to import the new asset, which is our tutorial game map. And let's see, I've got a couple in here. This is the one I just created. Let's give her an import. So I get this little error. I'm just going to click Fix Now. And cool. There's my base map. And now I just need to check and see if my animations are working. Okay, so getting the animation, I know that my animation data is in here. I click on this. Actually, I click on the full game map, and I see here that I have the 240 frame animation. And in this little window down here, I can even preview it, and you can see my little red cars are driving. And it is not working when I preview the game. And I can see my red car just chilling right there. Simple fix. So what you need to do is find the Cinema 4D, the little play button here, which is basically your animation. And you need to drag this right onto your game map. And then you're going to click on that. And you'll see under Animator that the controller should now be the game map. Alright? And now you fixed it. Now basically if you hit play, and if I drop myself into my city scene, boom, there comes a car past me, there goes another car. And we're in good shape. Obviously, my spline is not in the correct position, and my cars are... should have checked in Cinema 4D where my cars were. But so now I know that it's fixed. So if I click play and I adjust my camera view, let's kind of go up and rotate down and look at our city. Sort of look down Main Street here. Yes. I can preview this and I will see my car animation. Cool. Stay tuned for how to walk around in this scene.